All right, so how about the Pittsburgh Steelers jumping over the Jets? You know the Patriots always love to trade down. They're always down for a trade down if possible, which is smart. Trading down is smart, so I like the move from the Patriots. The Steelers really wanted an offensive lineman, really wanted Broderick Jones, who was kind of the last offensive lineman who I feel like really it would make sense to pick here. So they decide to, maybe it's a tad of a reach, but it's a position of need, and that's what they're going with. They're trying to pick a position of need and protect Kenny Pickett, which I do understand. Make sure that you put your young quarterback in a position to succeed. After all, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The #1 predictor of success at the quarterback position, of future success, is what situation is around you, and so making that situation as good as possible absolutely makes sense. I have some critiques and some positives with the player itself. With Broderick Jones, there was a reason why 3 offensive linemen went before him, but that being said, again, you're trying to make sure, just while I'm talking about the pick itself, it is a bit of a reach, but you do want to help out your young quarterback. And I'm actually more willing to reach to help out a young quarterback than I would be just because it's a position of need and it fills a hole. I've always been a believer in you draft best player available and then you fill your needs through free agency. That makes more sense to me. But since free agency comes first, a lot of people do it the other way around. But for me, for the Steelers, it's a little bit different because the last thing you want is to be in a New York Giants situation where, they sort of let Daniel Jones play for 3 years and then they still said, well, we haven't put you in any good situation, so we have no idea if you're good or not, so we're stuck giving you a 4th year before we could even decide. We can't build around you. We don't know what to do. In this scenario for the Steelers, they're not really in that spot. They have a lot of good receivers. I think they have a very good receiving core. Their offensive line, they've made some improvements. I think getting another offensive lineman definitely could help. And they do have Najee Harris, who, some people hate. I think is fine. I don't think he's a bad running back necessarily. I think he's all right, actually. I think he's got a little bit too much criticism given, the fact that the running game in general hasn't been good, but I don't know how much of that is his fault personally. So, part of the reason why you don't draft a running back in the first round, you draft an offensive lineman in the first round. Now, I kind of understood why the Steelers did it when they did it. It was kind of an all-in move in Big Ben's final year. I got it, but, now that you're not going all in, build through the trenches. It makes more sense than building, if you're trying to build a running game, you go trenches first and then running back, which I think makes a ton of sense. And not that they would have gone running back here anyway, but again, could they have stayed back and still gotten a good player? Potentially, but they just really wanted the offensive lineman. They really wanted to make sure that they're protecting Kenny Pickett. And again, that makes sense because Kenny Pickett kind of showed that he's someone who you should at least give a second year and build around and really trust that he could potentially be good. He was really good as a rookie. So, I think it makes sense to make that pick. And as the Steelers, they tend to, they're one of the few teams that's willing to trade up for players who aren't quarterbacks, which is interesting as well. But yeah, anyways, let's get into enough about the pick itself. Let's talk about the player. So first, let's start off with his PFF page. And the stats, they're not great. They aren't. And again, it varies position group to position group of how much I pay attention to this stuff. For offensive linemen, it really does translate well to the next level. So the fact that his grades are not bad for college necessarily, but not spectacular given the fact that he is a hyped up prospect, that's where things are a little bit of a bummer, where again, he did have the great grade in 2020, but look at the snap count, only 25 snaps, so wouldn't pay too much attention there. In the 1 year where he's had significant playing time, a grade below 80, which again, good for college, but not typically what gets you drafted very highly. However, even me, as someone who likes analytics and likes looking at PFF grades on specific positions, because it does translate well to the next level, I always say that just because you have a bad grade doesn't mean you shouldn't be drafted. Maybe there's an explanation for it if you watch the tape, and I actually do think there is an explanation for it. I do think that this is one of those scenarios where I'm not mad at drafting Jones necessarily, just as a player, because I do like him a lot as a player. I actually have him as my number 4 offensive lineman and my number 3 tackles. So I'm not as low on him as you might think I would be given how I typically evaluate players using this kind of stuff. For one thing, you look at his pass block grade, that's pretty good. And again, for tackles, that's a lot of times what people care about is what is your pass block grade more so than what is your run block grade. So that automatically makes it a little bit better.
But I also think his tape is pretty good. Like this play, for example, what's going to happen is it's a one-on-one matchup, and just watch what he's able to do here. Watch how when he gets the hand placement he wants right here, he's good. I mean, the running back is going to have plenty of room to run through this play. He is able to finish off that block, and he is able to, do a good job there. So it wasn't actually a run, it was a passing play. But, either way, he was able to make sure he did a good job on that play by getting the edge rusher completely out of the play, which, of course, is his job. And I do feel like, for the most part, he was a little raw at times in college, which is understandable. Only 1 year really as a starter. And I think that when we saw him get in position and do things, well, he looked really good. Like something like this is another example where it's going to be, it's a double team, and then he's supposed to get off the double team and go up to block someone at the next level. That's what he's supposed to do here. And watch how the power is real. I would say it takes him a little bit longer than you would like to get up to that next level, but the power definitely was able to get the double team and all of that good stuff. And hey, it was a 3rd down and 1, and they got the 1st down. Could have been more, actually, with how well the play was blocked with some other guys there, but he still did his part, and I would say that's a very good play as well, and I think he has room to improve. Again, guy's only 21 years old too, and that is something that I look at as well, is age, and if you're playing solid at 21, that's sometimes better than someone who played great at 23, because for offensive linemen, you do get better as you get older there. You also have something like this where you see, again, that's the block right there. Broderick Jones going up one-on-one against a defensive lineman. And watch how, once again, he is able to use his power right here to get the defensive lineman off to the side. And again, you're just not getting into the play here, really. 91 actually did kind of get back into that play and help make the tackle, but it was over at that point, essentially. The play was already going to be made, so really good stuff from Jones. One last play, another example of it, where what's going to happen is right here. Again, one-on-one matchup, and watch what happens. Watch how he is, again, able to make this block very well. Not the most difficult block, but again, does a good job, I think, when he gets the hand placement he wants, and I think his tape is better than the stats would suggest, which does happen sometimes. So I'm actually, I like Broderick Jones. I think he's a good player, and that's why I like him. I do think there is some room for improvement. I think the consistency thing is a little bit down, and you'd like it to be a little bit higher. I think that's reasonable. I think that's fair to say, but again, there's things to like about him, and I wouldn't be too deterred from the maybe poorer analytics that you might see, because I think that he is an exception. Again, not my number 1 tackle or number 2, but I do like him a lot, and I think there's plenty to like about him. But those are kind of my thoughts on him. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.